This is the Fit Roots podcast, and I'm your host, Aidan Lee. We are focused on teaching you the best of philosophy, martial arts, health, well-being, and business. Our mission is to build modern warriors who enhance their lives through continual physical and mental evolution, and then bestow that gift onto the next generation. Today, we've got Yvonne Radley joining us. Yvonne Radley is a powerhouse of media knowledge. She is a Branson Center mentor for iTunes #1 podcaster, and the creator of Big Me Up Media, which helps solopreneurs raise their profiles and their client base. She is a former journalist of 25 plus years. She was nominated in the UK for an IRN award for her documentary on missing toddler, Madeleine McCann. She had not one, but 4 national front page stories to her name and has worked in all 4 mediums of media, which are newspapers, magazines, radio, and TV at local and national level. This editor was made redundant from her news reading job 5 years ago, but instead of staying in the traditional media arena, she jumped ship and created a successful online business coaching entrepreneurs, mainly in the fitness and wellness world, and helping them get media attention like nobody's business. Her mantra is, don't just get fame, get clients. Her success stories are huge, with her clients writing their own books, creating fitness movements of their own TV shows, writing columns in newspapers and magazines, their own radio and TV shows. Her most famous client is Katie Bulmer-Cook, who was on BBC One's The Apprentice. Her clients have won many major industry awards, and she herself was nominated for FitPro Award for Excellence in 2014. She is also a speaker at major events like FitPro Live Convention at the Excel in London and Fit Camps in Blackpool, as well as her own workshops and retreats. So Yvonne, welcome to the Fit Roots podcast.
Thanks, lovely to be here.
Pleasure to have you on, and with such a great bio, we've kind of told people your background already. But Yvonne is also, another thing to mention, is also my business coach. So there's a lot of personal things we can share with you all today. But Yvonne, why don't you just start off by telling us, what it is you do and why you got into it?
Well, I need to update my bio because it said that I did all this 5 years ago. It's actually 8 years ago now. So this was back in 2010. I was made redundant from my radio job where I was the editor at Capital FM for the East Midlands. And at the time, I was dating a personal trainer, and we decided to launch. This was right after the crash, if you remember. Everybody was skint. Everybody was being made redundant. Blue-collar workers, white-collar workers. It was awful times. People were queuing up outside banks to get the money out. And the system was, on its knees. And we decided to grow a boot camp business initially. That's how we got started and how I got started. I used my redundancy money with my ex-partner, and we started a boot camp business. Now that quickly grew to 9 sites in Nottinghamshire. And then a couple of years in, we started to win awards, and other boot campers, really said to us, how have you done this so fast? Because most fitness businesses were struggling to get people in the door, especially, during that time of the recession, the double recession. And so I said, we just get PR and publicity, and that's really helped us to spread the word. And at the time, it was the start of Groupon as well, and all those social sharing sites, plus social media was just coming to the fore. You'd already had Facebook around for a little while, but you'd got Twitter, Instagram coming along, Pinterest. And so I basically started teaching people how to get their fitness businesses into traditional media, but then quickly it's evolved so that a lot of what I teach is social media as well, because it's such a massive part of society nowadays. So basically I help people to raise their profile, but also I ended up business mentoring them as well, because I would go on their website and I'd be like, oh my God, you can't show this to a journalist. Let's tidy it up. And help them writing copy. So anything to do with communication really and business development.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's such a strong background. It's really interesting how you came to the background, and also that effectively it seemed quite organic in the fact that it seemed like your success in your boot camps drew people towards you rather than you creating something just for the sake of it. It really sounded like you created it for a genuine need in the market.
Yeah, I just saw a gap. I said it was other boot camp owners initially that said to me, well, how have you done it? And I just said, well, I send in a press release. And they said to me, what's a press release? And I was like, oh my God, they don't know. So I did a webinar, a £37 or $37 webinar. And that was my first product that I sold, educating everybody about how to get in the paper. And now it's, I teach Pilates instructors, hypnotherapists, anybody in not just bootcamp business or fitness, but health, wellness. And it's such a growing industry. But it's nice for me to work in that industry because having the background with the bootcamp, I can I know what I'm talking about from both senses, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, you really understand. I'm not a bootcamp myself, but in the whole general health and wellness industry, you really understand our pains, our struggles,
yeah,
and what we really need and what we could do with. And even, I only started FitRoots just over 3 years ago, but even then, I didn't know anyone with really your USP of getting fame and then getting clients, right? There's not many people in this industry in the health and wellness who are doing what you're doing.
No, exactly, which is nice. It's nice for me. But I am a strong believer in finding your niche and almost a micro niche. I'm all about small is beautiful, because I think you'll get seen a lot better if you are if you're a big fish in a little pond rather than the other way around.
Yeah. And that's a great analogy, isn't it? Because some people, always just want to be, a small fish in the big sea or whatever.
Most people swim in what is it, the red ocean and the blue ocean, and you always want to jump over and go where the others aren't.
Yeah, well, as you say, you want to zig when they zag.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. That's really good. So yeah, I can see why you've created the business you have. And I guess that was how you started, Yvonne, but tell us, where that's led you to now, because obviously you've got your signature program and you've got, your clients like myself and whoever else, but tell everyone the journey that you've taken since you've started.
Well, it's all been pretty organic, and I think I'm very lucky in that I can be quite perceptive. I think that's with my journalistic roots. I can read a trend or spot, very good at reading people and finding out what they need. And I teach this as well, but I believe very strongly in listening to your clients. And what my clients were telling me was that although they wanted to train with me one-on-one, they couldn't really afford it. Or while they loved working from home, they were lonely. And so all these messages kept coming to me, and technology was growing so fast that, Skype was around. I know nowadays we have Zoom and lots of other, so many apps nowadays. And I literally run my business from my mobile phone now because it's just so easy to do. But, back in kind of 2012, when I first started Big Me Up Media, 2 years after starting the boot camp, and then from like 2012 up to now, kind of 2018, social media and technology has developed so much that I can pretty much work from anywhere in the world. Technology allows me to do that, and it's not that laptop lifestyle that we all used to read books about. It's literally mobile phone lifestyle now. You don't even need your laptop, and so my signature program is called the Dream Life Academy, which combines both areas, so business and media. There's also story in there, which is a big part of what I teach, because I used to be a screenwriter as well, and branding. And so all four areas, to me, are key for a successful business. And I'd been working one-on-one with people for about 4 years, and you find yourself repeating the same thing. Like, I would be on calls all day long, and I'd literally be having the same conversations over and over again. And it's like, why am I doing this? Why don't I just put everybody in a group and just say it once? And after 4 years of working one-on-one, I had got a little bit bored with that business model, especially because I was repeating myself a lot of the time. So I came up with the idea of organising the Dream Life Academy, which is a year-long mentoring program. So you're tying people in for a year. It means that you don't have to launch every month, because at that point, when I was working with one-to-one clients, I was working with between 20 and 25 people, let's say 20, for $250 a month, which was bringing in £60,000 for the year. And what I did was switch it. So I doubled the amount of people, 40 people. I halved the price because not everybody could afford me, and lots of people wanted to work with me. So 125 a month, and that is a 60K product, so same price. But instead of working 20 hours a week, I only have to work 2 hours a month, which is ridiculous. I literally jump on a Q&A call with them on the first Monday of every month and the third Wednesday of every month. Obviously, they can tag me in the groups. I'm available. Me and you jumped on a call last week. So, if people need me, I'm kind of there. But I'm contracted to do 2 hours a month with them.
And how amazing is that, right?
It's unbelievable.
You can't get much better than that. And
I can't believe my luck.
And you think about it as well, because there's some parallels to the people that you work with, like myself and whoever. You touched on some key points there about, you're working 25 different people. And of course, they were getting some results, but you realize that you can only extend your help and your reach so far. One, with your time being limited.
Yeah.
Two, you could charge the ceiling, but eventually you're going to hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
On top of that, is it just about the money? Is it money and creating a legacy and giving value too?
For me, the reason I love to work with the health and fitness world is because they're so passionate about what they do. And our mantra at Big Me Up Media is to help fitness people earn the money that they deserve, because you guys are out there changing lives, literally helping people to live longer. It's such a brilliant industry, and you're so passionate about what you do, and you're not paid enough. But there are ways that you can get paid a lot more money. And what I try and do, and what Big Me Up Media, our mantra is to help you guys earn as much as you can, not having to give up all your evenings or your weekends, because it's very unsociable hours as well. So, taking some products online and developing your business, however you want to do it, building the business around you, like I've built my business around me. We can all do it. So I love to share. I love to share all the changes with social media, which really helps us. And it's a win-win situation for all of us.
I completely agree. And I think that you've taught us, and even myself in particular, that the perception is that just because someone's paying you and you're self-employed or you're in business, that they should almost run your time, where in reality, the opposite is completely true.
Exactly.
You have to have your time first and control your own schedule, and then people, one, will respect it more, but also two, more out of it, because you can produce more and be more and do more for them. At the start, when I started a couple of years ago, I realized that I was doing it all, not say for the wrong reasons, but almost doing it the wrong way around. I was focusing on the one-to-one. I thought it was what I wanted, but it's not the bigger picture. Maybe I can 10x, 100x the amount of people I help earn more and have a better balance of life as well, which you've really helped us to realize.
Yeah, I'm not all about the money. You know how you see on Facebook people talking about the 6 and the 7 figure income. I mean, I am about the dream life. But for me, the dream life, because I'm getting older, I think it changes every decade that you're in, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever stage you're at. For me, the most important thing is time. To have time to do what I want. I mean, God, when I used to work in the radio, I had to be up at 4:30 in the morning. That's like middle of the night. I hated it. I loved it once I got there, but I hated having to get out of bed, especially in the winter when it was dark and cold, and then drive to the nearest city, open up. You're the first one in as the news reporter. You would open up the studio, then the presenters would turn up. You were busy getting all the news. It's so busy first thing in the morning, catching up with the news wires overnight, get your bulletin ready, then you're on air, and it's adrenaline until you knock off at midday. And it sounds very exciting, and it was very exciting, but I think you can only do that for so long. I love now that I don't have an alarm. I get up, I have an easy morning. I like to journal. I like to meditate. I like to go to the gym. And so I don't sit down into the office until the afternoons, really. And I only work in the afternoons and sometimes in the evenings. Depends what's going on. It's usually listen to a webinar or a podcast or something. So, yeah, my whole life has changed, really. And I'm earning like way more than I used to earn as a journalist doing all those stupid hours.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, look at the time now. You've managed to consolidate all your expertise into a formula which gives you the life that you want. And I guess in reality, you're not just like a lot of those hype marketing gurus who say they're doing one thing and in reality living the opposite of what they're preaching.
Yeah, there's a lot of those around.
I bet you've got a few words to say about it.
My lips are sealed. Maybe I should do a biography one day and talk about it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I
Name
think
and
there's a lot.
shame.
Yeah, good. Why not? There's a lot of cons out there, and I think in
Yeah,
your industry, as there are in the health and wellness as well, we want the purity and the honesty to come out as much as possible. So
definitely.
that's the key. So you've created all this, Yvonne, which is great, and almost you formulated your dream life, as you say.
Mm.
And I think something key you touched upon there as well, if you don't mind me saying too, is that as we get older and as you've got older as well, you realise that, well, what do I really need? I don't need necessarily $1 million
Yeah.
a year, but the freedom to do whatever you want whenever you want.
Definitely.
So with that in mind, you've achieved a lot obviously in your life, but what are your goals for the next 1, 3 and 5 years? Could be business and or personal.
One of the things I'm trying to do at the minute and finding really difficult is to write I'm calling it write a bestseller because I'm doing the whole manifesting. It is going to be a bestseller. So I'm writing my book, which is called How to Live Your Dream Life Without the Ferrari. And I think I'm up to about 35,000 words. I'm about halfway there. And at the minute, I'm just concentrating on getting the first draft out. But for me, it is a little bit like a busman's holiday in that writing obviously used to be my thing that I did before. And so to go back to it is hard work. It's really hard work to do it and to get it all out. And of course you have imposter syndrome when you're talking about your thesis and the way you run your business. Like it is basically how I've lived over the last 8 years. And so I'm battling those demons to get it out. But I am very self-disciplined, have a lot of patience. And I know that if I just keep putting one foot in front of the other, eventually it will all come out. And then once it's out, I will do about 5 different revisions. So I use my screenwriting background. So we'll work on, I can't remember all the things that I do, but one of them is themes. So I'll have certain themes in the book that I want to come out, and I'll make sure the themes are threaded throughout. I can't remember what they all are, but there's 5 levels to a screenplay, and I'm going to adapt the same 5 to my book to make it quite rich. So the book is one thing. I would love, but it's not essential because it's quite materialistic. I would love a bigger house. My house is quite small, really, but I just love it where I am. I just would like an extra bedroom and a dining room and some place outside for offices because we work from home. I work with my son as well, and we've got a small team of virtual assistants as well. But I would love an older house. The house I live in is like a new house. It's not that new anymore, actually. I think I've been here 13 years, but it's a new build. So I'd like a bigger house. I'd like to be living in that bigger house with a husband because I'm still single. So that's kind of, let's put that on the 5-year plan. So yeah, bigger house, the book. And to be honest, Aidan, it's just repeating what I'm doing. Like, I don't want this to ever stop. So living how I'm living, I am currently living my dream life, which is going to be different to other people's dream lives.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't strike me as someone who could just pack everything in and go and live the cliche retired life. I think you've...
Oh God, no, I'll be bored.
Yeah, exactly. You've got, I think, one more to give. People like us, but also for yourself as well. I don't think it really fulfill your needs and your wants. So
I can't imagine ever retiring.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it till I drop.
I think you and me both. I think exactly the same. When you think about it as well, obviously the ages of retirement is increasing too. So, hey, they want us to work later. Well, let's produce better stuff and more life-changing experiences whilst we're there.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. You touched on some great points there. So I think the furthering of what you're doing already is obviously a great thing, and I can see why you'd want the extra house and things like that. Probably the most important thing there. And I think there's a couple of things I really want to pull out from that one. And one was you mentioned about imposter syndrome and maybe not feeling like putting your thesis out there is it's not necessarily the right thing to or wrong thing to do, but you're not maybe 100% sure of it. Could you, one, tell us how you feel about that, but also how potentially you're getting over it and how others could do the same if they're experiencing similar feelings in their own life?
I think when we get imposter syndrome, it's a very natural thing to feel because it's ego, isn't it? We're putting our ego on the line to be shot down and to be criticized in a sense. And some people will say, well, who are you to tell me this? But I had this when I first got my job at Leicester Sound. I'd come from a very small radio station called Oak FM, and I'd landed the editor's job at Leicester Sound. And I remember going to work thinking, oh my God, why have they given it to me? I'm not qualified enough to do this job. And my heart was racing and my palms were sweaty for about the first 3 months in that job. And we had that massive global story of the Madeleine McCann. But I think it was when that actually hit and I handled it really well. I mean, we were doing stuff for, American TV, Irish radio, like literally me and the reporters on the team were reporting all over the world. And it was just a massive story. And so I think when a big story hit like that, I was able to come into my own. But on the normal run-of-the-mill, everyday kind of stories, I was like, I don't even know how to work this technology all around me. They had to teach me because it was a different desk to what I was used to. And I think the best way to get over imposter syndrome is accept that we all go through it. Everybody does. Even like some of my, most famous friends kind of thing, they go through it as well. We all go through it. You just have to literally keep putting one step in front of the other and remembering that nobody else has walked your path. So you're coming to it from a completely different journey. When I'm teaching, I often talk about the celebrity chefs, and life would be boring if we only had Jamie Oliver. It's really nice that we've got Nigella, Hugh Fernley I can never say his name, Whittingstall, the one who swears, Gordon Ramsay. Yeah. So, they all are very different characters because they've all come from a different path to be a celebrity chef on television. And they all have their own shows, and we love and adore some of them, all of them. It doesn't matter if there's other people in your niche doing the same as you. Nobody has your personality and nobody comes from where you've been. So I think we all have a story to tell. And I think as long as you can remember that, it helps you to get over imposter syndrome. The other important thing is to kind of get over yourself and don't think about you and your ego and how you're going to feel putting your head above the parapet. And think about the person that's going to get your message. Do you have an important message to convey to that person? And if the answer is yes, why the hell would you keep it in your head? You have to put it out there for their benefit. So be selfless.
Yeah, and you have to be sometimes selfish to be selfless, and to be selfless to be, generous, in the sense that, as you say, if people want to really change their lives, it takes certain people to take that step forward to give them what they need.
Yeah,
we can't all do it by ourselves. So that's some great insights, because I've been there, as you say, you're there with all your experience, and as you say, some more famous friends or famous, renowned people anyway, let alone people just starting out. So
yeah,
I think one step at a time is always a good way of looking.
Definitely.
Awesome. So with that in mind, Yvonne, you've also told us, what you're doing at the moment, how you've got to where you are, things you're working on. But I'd like to understand, a couple of stories, because obviously you've got plenty of them working in the story business, if you like. Could you tell us a time or story of a time in your journey when you experienced an aha moment or realization?
Oh, well, one of the bigger ahas was Dream Life Academy. As I was mentioning earlier, I listened to my clients. I listened to them anyway, but there was this one particular year, so it would have been about 3 years ago, where I kept hearing the same kind of messages, whether I was on a one-to-one call with somebody, or I do a lot of live events, and I love to listen to people over lunch. I never say very much over lunch because I love to listen. Like, it's the journalist in me. I love to listen to the table next door, so to speak. And so I love to hear people talking, and that they all kept saying things like, oh, isn't it lovely to get dressed up for the day? Because, there are days when we work in our pajama bottoms, especially in the winter. Some days you do go all day and stay in your gym gear, and you just collapse into bed at night because you're shattered. And they were saying, oh, isn't it lovely just getting dressed up and coming out kind of thing? And they really missed the corporate world, because a lot of them have come from corporate and now work for themselves. And there was one particular day I was in London, and we were doing an event just around the corner from the Shard, and we actually finished up at the Shard afterwards. And I was with one client. We went for a morning walk over Tower Bridge, and she used to work in the financial district, Hannah. And she was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. I love being back in the city, and look at all the people. And we were watching all the people coming and going, and we're like, ooh, really glad that we don't have to do this anymore. However, it is buzzy. It's really nice, a nice buzz. And she was like, why don't you create something where, you know, we can all be like in an office, but it's not an office and we're still working for ourselves and we can all communicate. And, you know, what she was describing to me, our support group, I called it The Office. So it's a support group on Facebook. And it's just like, oh, I'm just going to pop into the office for a minute because I'm stuck and I need to ask for some help. And there's always somebody on hand that's going to come in and help you. So I think that was an aha moment, walking with Hannah over the bridge that morning. I was grateful and humbled that I didn't have to do the rat race anymore, but there were elements of the rat race that I missed, like dressing up, like meeting in real life. So in the Dream Life Academy, we meet every 90 days in London, Manchester or Nottingham, and we have a Christmas party. So we bring all the nice elements. We've got the water cooler moment where people can share a funny story or tell a joke. You know, all those things, the nice things of the office, but we've ditched all the politics. We've ditched the commute.
You ditched the rubbish stuff and you brought
the
good stuff, yeah?
Just kept the good stuff. So that was a bit of an aha moment. And it kind of led to the birth of DLA.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think it's a great one because, as you say, especially when you're first starting out, you're effectively a solopreneur, and then you end up, as you say, working at home and you're maybe in your PJs. Although, you know, I've done that, but I realised it was a bad. Just in that space mentally, but you realize that, well, hold on, maybe there are a few things that you need in terms of human social interaction and just ways you can build that into your business and your schedule without necessarily saying, oh, I have to go back to work or for me. It's just more, as you say, about having the right circumstances around you, which is absolutely brilliant. So talking about those circumstances, and I guess the things you share with your clients like myself or other people, what are the habits and daily routines that you feel contribute to your success as well as people like myself and
I've got quite a few I've picked up over the years. I mean, my morning ritual, like I say, I don't have an alarm. It's just a very quiet, and yeah, I don't have an alarm. It's quiet wake up. But in the spring, summertime, 6:30, I am up, kind of, well, not up, but awake. And in the winter, it's more like 8 o'clock. So I think naturally I just go into those time zones. I can't bear getting up when it's cold and dark.
Don't blame me.
Are you the same?
Well, I think you hit on a good point there. It's natural body clocks, isn't it? When the sun is rising earlier, we'll wake up earlier because that's our circadian rhythm. That's what we're meant to do. Darker, we'll get up a bit later.
I love to journal because it helps relieve stress. It helps me to get clarity. And so even if it's just writing down what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, it's nice that I go to bed, like I do a little bit at night and then I do some in the morning as well. So it's nice just to clear my head and think, right, tomorrow I'm concentrating on this. I keep it very simple. I know I do it with, every morning I wake up and I have gratitude. So I do 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it can be little things. The sky is blue today. I love a blue sky. It can be just very simple things. The fact that my car's got petrol in, you know, and I need to go somewhere that I haven't got to go to the garage cheers me up. I hate going to the garage and filling with petrol. It's one of the most boring jobs in the world. So just, you know, it can be big things, little things. What else? I'd like to go to the gym in the mornings or have a walk. So some kind of exercise as well. Again, clears the mind. A little bit of meditation. I live alone anyway, so it's easy to meditate and I spend a lot of quiet time. And then on like an annual basis, every year I start the year with one goal. So I keep things very, very simple. So I have one goal and then I have a hashtag for the year, which is kind of the theme for the year. So my theme this year is what if it was easy? Because I was getting quite anxious about things. I'd got some big trips earlier on in the year. I got my book. So it's all stuff that was pushing me out of my comfort zone and I was getting anxious about it. So the what if it was easy hashtag was very good for me because it's like, yeah, but what if it was easy? What does that look like? And immediately you take all that anxiety out of it and it's like, oh yeah, it looks like this.
That helps you to live by almost a mantra for the year.
Yeah.
In accordance to your goal as well.
Yeah. And a couple of years ago, when I had the split with my partner, remember I'd started life out on this entrepreneurial journey with him. 3 years in, that ended. And that's when I did hashtag travel. And I literally went traveling around the world for the year. And that was very apt for that year. So there's always a theme going on with me. And I get all the guys in the Dream Life Academy to think of a hashtag, and it just gives you that impetus to drive you forwards and underpins everything. So I really love to do that. And that's pretty much it, I think, for systems. You know, the whole cliche about surround yourself with like-minded people. I have quite a few, particularly female entrepreneur friends, who, if you feel like you need to go and get some support, you can do very easily. And just sharing knowledge is really good.
Awesome.
So yeah, I've got a good circle of friends around as well.
Yeah, I think you've got the lifestyle you want, where, as you say, you live alone, but you work with, you know, your son, and you've got a good thriving and growing business, but you've got the circle there if you need it, and also the daily habits and routines to set you up for success. Because that's one of the things that, you know, we try to, as in our industry as well, is institute habit change, rather than, all right, let's look at the bigger picture, but what's it going to take to get there? As you say earlier with the imposter syndrome, it's one step at a time.
Yeah.
What habit, routine can you build into your life now that will help and build you towards your goal?
I'm telling you another one that I do, actually, that I'd forgotten, and it's really important. Every 90 days, I stop and look back at what's working and what's not. And that can be personal life, work life. And we just did it, actually, because we came to the end of the quarter and I made some tweaks. And once I tweaked and dumped stuff that wasn't working and went back to stuff that we just forget that we're doing it, especially in the early days. If you look at what you were doing in business when you first started, we get complacent and we're like, why don't I do that anymore? That was brilliant. And I literally did that last month. And last week was one of my busiest weeks ever, because I'd gone back. I'd tell you what it was network. I'd forgotten to network. Like, oh, why did I do that? And then I picked up on my networking again, and it was great.
Yeah. And it's probably even more successful now that you're a lot more established.
Yeah.
And that's a good point as well, because I think the 90-day tracker, I actually have done it, so I need to come back to you with more on that. But yeah, I think it's a key point, because we don't sometimes take enough time to sit down and reflect. It's always go
Yeah,
forward, rather than stop and observe and actually see where we've got to and what's worked and what hasn't.
It's key, I think, to being successful. You've got to look at your business as a whole and step back from it. Quite often we end up doing all the jobs in the business that we could pay somebody else to do. And I'm not a fan of outsourcing, so I'm not about to go down that route. But what I mean is, you know, look at how long you're spending on emails and doing jobs that an admin assistant could really do to free you up. My business changed when I hired my son. And at first I thought I couldn't afford him. We would still got the boot camp at that point, but I'd got this idea for Big Mint Media. And I used to do all the registers and everything, and I was chasing people for money if they were late paying. And we just put systems in place and gave him all of that logistical side to do. And it gave me 2 days a week that was just free. And that I built Big Mint Media using those 2 days. And so that was incredible. Yeah.
Yes. So that's interesting. You almost built it side by side, but freed up a lot of your time, mainly through the use of clever outsourcing and systems.
Yeah. And I would say anybody in the fitness wellness world, you know, we were employing at least 9 trainers then, because we had 9 different sites and some of them had double trainers. Instead of hiring a trainer first to do another site or another class, hire an admin person and free yourself up, because you will be able to take the company there much faster and much bigger than, you know, another trainer that's just going to bring you more money for a few hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's thinking long term rather than short term, because I've taken that same step with Jasmine, my first staff.
Yes.
That if I realized, well, and some people are saying, oh, you're going to need another trainer eventually, which I said, yeah, of course, but I'd rather do it for now, as in the actual sessions, because I want to set the benchmark and the way things have to go, rather than hiring someone else who will likely maybe not represent it in the way that I want to at the start. Once everything and the whole protocol set up, then they can follow it to a T.
Yeah.
Wrong. But if I do it the other way around, as you say, it's bad times.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%.
Awesome. And you touched a lot on systems there and a few other particulars, but if you had one strategy for success in business, now we're talking particularly, what would you say that would be?
I think relationships is so important. You know, retention. I always go on about retention. If you never lost a client from the day you started, how rich would you be? And we did the same with the boot camp. You know, our retention rates was about 10 months. It was really good. I mean, a lot of people were with us for years. I was only with the boot camp for 3 years and then I left. But I know it's still going on. So now it's 8 years old and there are the originals, you know, some of the originals are still there. You will keep your original tribe instead of trying to find new people all the time. Look after the ones you've got, sell the ones you've got more things that they want, like I did with Dream Life Academy. You know, that was just my tribe saying to me, oh, what we really want is this. And then I just went away and created it. And now, you know, there's 39, actually 39 people in the program. And so it's just listening. I've just started doing masterclasses because people wanted fast, rapid social media help. And so, you know, I've listened to that. I put them out. I did 2 last week. They sold like hotcakes. So I think it's relationships and looking after the people that are already with you and just giving them more of what they want. That's where the money lies, not in systems, not in robots, not in automation. You know, they're just tools that you can use. Meeting up with people, like I said, in Dream Life Academy, we meet up every 90 days. You get such value from that. You learn so much about people by having a few beers with them. You can't recreate that online.
I completely agree, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. And
Yeah.
also that you said, of course, you can build all the systems, automations, bots, and whatever the new trend or fad is in the marketing or business world. But if you have no relationships, who is that going to? It's going to a cold, bored, maybe even frustrated audience.
Yeah.
I think even I guess maybe we've all fallen into that trap at some point because there's so many marketers with their spiel and about, oh, you know, do this new thing, do that. But ultimately, as you say, well, what are we? We're humans first, and then business owners second.
Exactly.
And what does that mean? We know, you know, we need relationships first. We need interaction on a real personable basis, rather than just trying to say, "Oh, give me your money," and say, "Well, actually, how can I change your life? You know, what can
Yeah.
I do for you?"
And the thing is, we all chase, you know, if you do a Facebook ad campaign, it's like 500,000 people or 20,000 people. It's like, man, I only need 40 people. I just need 40 people for the whole year. Give me 40 people. So why are you chasing thousands? If you
40
focus,
people,
yeah,
exactly. 40 people, 60K a year, 2 hours a month. I mean, theoretically, you could blow that up to 80 people, 120K
yeah,
a year, 4 hours a
yeah,
month.
yeah.
So maybe another program, whatever, but it goes to show sometimes less is more, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm quite happy where I'm at. I don't want I could do 3 Dream Life Academies if I did like a concerted campaign. But once you start going bigger, you have to have a bigger team. And we did that with the boot camp. Like I say, we ended up with 9 sites. I hated it. All of my time, instead of being on the field or working with the people, I was in the office constantly managing a team, which is what I used to do as an editor. I didn't want to do that anymore. I want to be creative, hands-on, working in my business. I don't want anyone else working in my business. I want to do it because I love it. So I think sometimes you're in danger of going too big and kind of putting yourself out of it.
Yeah, and I guess it's safe to say in that sense that you maybe want more of a lifestyle business rather than just a big business for the sake of it.
Definitely. I have no what's the word? Like I'm not chasing $1 million or anything. I don't want to be a millionaire. It doesn't interest me because I'd have to work 6-7 days a week for that. I don't want to do. I did all that back when I was a journalist. So I've had enough of that life. Yeah, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And I think I was talking to you before about I'm just going to buy a one-way ticket soon and go and spend the summer probably with my friend Hanny, who lives in Malaga. She lives the 4-hour work week as well. So yeah, I've got all these friends who do it, and I've got another friend who's in Cyprus at the minute, other friends in Murcia or New York or Chicago. And, you know, you can just go anywhere and do anything because you're not restricted.
Yeah, and you've built that lifestyle, and sometimes there's I think especially for men as well, there's that perception that you have to have, you know, millions. If you're going to start a business, it has to be big. I mean, my plan is to go really big, but that's fine. But that's because that's what I want.
Yeah.
Something that's been bestowed upon me, and I feel like I'm being coerced to do it. But you've made a conscious choice to have a lifestyle business which suits you perfectly, and just as I have made a conscious choice that I want to take it worldwide. But
exactly,
when you were maybe younger, you would have maybe thought a bit more similar to myself.
Yeah, when I was in my 30s, that's when I was working with the national press, and I was mean. I wanted those front pages. I got 4 front pages in national newspapers. That is an achievement. When they sent me out on a story, they knew that I would come back with a story that was worthy of a front page cover kind of thing. I would always get my man, so to speak, or get the person at the center of the story. I was so ambitious. And that's when I was really going for it. I think 30s is when you do that kind of thing. So the ambition comes to the fore. But I feel like I achieved what I set out to achieve there. If I was where I am now and I was in my 30s, I'd be like, yeah, let's turn this into a mean machine and earn millions, definitely. But I'm not there.
Yeah, and it's a time and a place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like where I'm at now, mid-20s, worldwide legacy is on the agenda. But
yeah, absolutely,
where you're at, and that's absolutely respectable. So that's really good to hear. Cool. So with these stories you've told us, Yvonne, I just also want to understand, because it's not all, as you've said, it's not all success and pleasure and happiness. Tell us some, either one time or the most poignant time where you've experienced failure in your journey and what you learned from it.
I think the biggest knockback that I got over the last 8 years was when my relationship ended with my partner, and that was 3.5 years ago now, I think it was. So about 2014 time, I think 2013, 2014, can't remember, it was all a bit of a blur. But it was very sudden. We were on holiday and I finished the relationship, but because of, I don't want to go into details, but he pushed the self-destruct button. I finished it. The wedding was off. We were in the process of planning the wedding.
I think you've muted yourself, Yvonne. We can cut this up.
Am I back now?
Yeah.
I think I've twiddled the thing.
Yeah, had some feedback.
Where did I get to?
You were just talking about the wedding.
So the wedding was off. We came back to England and I just gave him the bootcamp business and I walked away from it. And we split basically, and I went my own way. So even though my whole world had turned upside down, it was like the worst time ever, because everything that I had was gone. And it's like, where do you go from there? How do you survive that? How do you get out of that hole that you're in? And it's the same, really. I suppose I just pulled on that resilience of one day at a time, one step at a time. And I just focused on my business. I'd actually got a blooming event that week. So I had to turn up to do this live event. I don't even know. I can't remember getting through that. Luckily, I was giving a speech that I'd given several times before. And so I kind of knew it off by heart. So I didn't have to concentrate too much. But I just kind of got through it. And then, like I say, I had #travel year because I just didn't even want to be in the same country as him. And so I just went and traveled. And what that did was taught me resilience, the fact that I have this fighting spirit, the fact that I can survive on my own, and have been doing ever since. And he wasn't even really in my Big Me Up business. But I don't know what it was. As soon as he'd gone, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to survive? And then my sister and my friends were like, yeah, but he wasn't in the Big Me Up business, so it will just carry on as normal. I was like, oh yeah. And everything just fell into place. In fact, not only did I survive, but I thrived. I think we doubled turnover that year because I didn't have him as a distraction. And I literally head down, let's concentrate on the business. In a way, it was a blessing. And now I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, blessing in disguise, isn't it?
Yeah.
You not only, as hard as it is to obviously go away from a serious potentially lifelong relationship, but you also gave away another one of your babies.
Yeah.
The business.
Yeah.
Business. So that, how did that feel doing that?
awful, because I couldn't say goodbye to everybody, because it was like a family. We were like a family. You know, we had all these members that we'd lived with for 3-4 years at that point. And I never got to say goodbye. I found that really hard. Yeah, that was the hardest thing, really. But since then, I have stayed in touch with a few of them, and I often go out for dinner. We'll go out for dinner or lunch with a few of them. So I have kept friends from that world.
That's nice. At least you have some good memories that you can keep. But
amazing memories.
At the same time, it's as you say, it's tough, because you weren't just giving up business, and you touched on it earlier about relationships being the most important part of business. You're giving up by coercion a lot of the relationships that you forged throughout, and which was through your business. It was different if you just worked for someone and
exactly
you went away, but you grew it from the ground up.
I think it's because it was also sudden as well, and people knew that something had happened, because I think we'd been away for 2 weeks. And then normally I'm on social media all the time. At that time it was Facebook, and I started getting these messages saying, "Are you all right? Like, you know, we've not seen you, and we know that you're back from holiday." And in the end, I sent out an email, because we did a lot of email marketing at the time, and also I had the Big Me Up people as well, and I just sent a blanket email to everybody explaining that, you know, we were no longer together. I didn't go into details. It was just hey, you know, this has happened, it's all very sad. In fact, I think the subject line was sad news. And I basically just told people what had happened. And that was another aha moment, when I saw the power of being real and authentic and communicating with people and letting them know what's happening in your life. Like, that email brought my audience closer to me. And in fact, one person even said to me, "Oh, I didn't like you very much before that, but when you sent that email, it was like, oh my God, she's amazing," kind of thing. And so it was just such a powerful email. I don't like that whole oversharing on social or in the email marketing, but I think sometimes, you know, when life has given you a knock, and you just have to say to people, "Oh, this is what's happened. This is why you're not seeing me at the minute."
There's a fine balance, isn't there? Because some of it's crazy cringy when all these people are just literally pouring it all out on the table. But at the same time, there's a place, and that was clearly a good place and time to tell people the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So clearly you're very passionate about people and relationships, but obviously you're an expert in your field in generating media and business for people like myself and your clients. But tell us about the topic you're working on currently, and why it's important to you and others like myself or the audience listening today.
So do you mean social media?
I guess so, because that's really your forte, isn't it?
I absolutely love it. I mean, it can help us so much. Like, it is a tool. My personal favorite at the minute is Instagram. I can't stress enough how everybody needs to be on Instagram, and I absolutely love it. Because Instagram, let's just talk about it in Instagram, but it doesn't matter which platform you choose, whether you're a LinkedIn fan or a Twitter fan or a Facebook fan. Wherever you are on social media, it helps to bring you to life and show you to your audience, and you can create relationships on there. So I use Instagram stories a lot, for example, and so people will watch my show every single day, and they'll tune in to see what I'm doing, what Marley the cat is doing, what's going on behind the scenes at Big Me Up Media. If I'm traveling, when I was recently in Arizona, they absolutely loved to watch that journey. I was over in Spain giving a talk on International Women's Day, and they loved to watch that. So people follow you and get to know, love, and trust you, because it's not enough to know, like, and trust nowadays. They have to fall in love with you to spend money with you. So it is a marketing tool, but I just think it's such a fun tool to have in your toolbox nowadays. And social media isn't going anywhere. It's just getting bigger and bigger. And, you know, you really need to get to grips with just at least one of the platforms.
Completely understand. And I love the comparison or the statement you made there. You know, normally it's know, like, and trust, but as you say, it's know, like, trust, and fall in love. It's no longer enough. You know, there's so much competition, but two, I guess a lot of misinformation as well. You have to really create that connection with people, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's 2 billion people on Facebook nowadays. How on earth do you get heard? It's very important that you learn that and that you find out how to get heard. so that you can show up in the marketplace. Back in 2010 when I first started, it was fine. You just literally put a post on Facebook and everybody saw it. It's not the same anymore. So you've got to grow with the times.
How times have changed, eh?
I know.
Crazy.
I think it'll get better though, this summer, because with the algorithm changing, Zuckerberg changed it in January this year. And we are going to stop. It's great for us, bespoke businesses, where it's less than 10 people and you tend to have, obviously you're not running your business from your profile page, but most of us have, a profile where you have a certain persona and you can talk to your audience and let them know about certain things and what you're doing in life. That's going to be so much better in the summer because they change the algorithm so that you are seen again by your friends and family. So it is going to go almost retro like it was back in 2010.
And that's on your personal profile, yeah?
On your personal profile, where you're not allowed to talk about business per se. You're allowed to do 20-80, so about 20% business, 80% personal. But for me, in the way that I teach business, it's all about personal anyway. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, as long as we're helping people and giving them, for example, in the health and well-being, with my space, health, well-being, martial arts, talking about great tips and strategies and things like that.
Perfect.
Why intertwine that with business as well? They're not going to stop you, right?
Exactly. If you're being super helpful, they'll show that to even more people. So if you're writing a great blog that's educating people or inspiring people, and then you put it on your profile page, it is going to actually get seen again by your family and friends without having to put it on your page and boost it, which is the only way you can get seen nowadays.
Yeah, and I guess it goes back to what you're all about relationships and influence and value-laden content for people.
Definitely. And I love free. Anything, free content where you're changing people's lives. Because as long as it's like karma, isn't it? I always say, whatever you give, it comes back 100-fold. So give away all your best stuff because they're going to come and work with you. It's like the celebrity chefs again. People would say with the age of the internet at first, oh my God, why on earth would Jamie Oliver put his recipes on the internet? We can all steal them. Well, we don't steal them, and it just makes us want to go to his restaurant even more. So it's the same for us. Give away all your best stuff. It's past the age of the information age. People can find out whatever they want from YouTube or Google. So you haven't got any secrets. So you may as well just hold their hand and show them the way.
Exactly, and it's also, as you've touched on, the interpretation of that, because as there's a lot of misinformation out there, there's loads of it, and information itself. How do we apply that to our lives, or how does the audience in this case apply it to their lives? You can take something and you've given your professional expert opinion and spin on it. They're more likely to trust that than just a random Google search with
exactly
how do I lose weight, or how do I get lean, or how do I learn to fight, whatever it might be.
When it comes time for them to actually invest a little bit more, who are they going to go with? The person that's never taught them anything, or you who's given them loads of great information? They're going to come to you.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what you're sharing today with our listeners, but also hopefully what, we're doing with others in general. So
definitely.
That's really good. So cool. Let's wrap up with a few quick fire questions, Yvonne.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go into more detail and have to be super quick fire, but this is more around men, this particular question. So what issues do you see that men should be thinking about?
With men, in the health and wellness zone particularly, ego gets in the way, I find. And if you let go of your ego, then you can do anything that you want. We worry, the men worry, and women as well. It's not just a man's problem, I think. But there is that whole macho thing with men. It's like, oh, my friends can't see me do this. So drop your ego and just go for whatever you want to do, and you will travel far.
Nice. So are you saying also to the entrepreneurs, the male entrepreneurs, saying, let yourself be present without the ego?
Yeah, sometimes the ego stops us doing something because we get procrastination, we get overwhelmed, we're worried about judgment of others. Who gives a damn what anybody else thinks? If you want to teach, I don't know, whatever you want to teach, or if you want to set up a group and there's a guy down the road doing a similar group and you're like, oh my God, he might think I've copied. Who gives a damn? If that's what you want to do, follow your passion and do it. If you want to go and work in Thailand, go and work in Thailand. And don't worry what other people will think or the judgment around it. Whatever you want to do, really.
Yeah, and the first example, competition creates better resources and people anyway. And if you put yourself out there in an authentic, genuine way, then you're only going to give your best rather than a half-assed or half effort.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. That's really cool. So what advice would you give, or do you have for the younger generation of boys who are transitioning to that, if you like, manhood period? So teenagers.
Do you mean for in business or life generally?
Business and personal.
I think if you're just starting out in business now, don't worry about the trappings of a business, the equipment. You don't need a website nowadays. You don't need to be on every single social media platform. You don't even need a laptop. What you need is one of these, a phone, and an email list. So my biggest value in my business is my Aweber account, which costs me, I don't know, $30 a month or something. I would never, I'm not saying I would never let Aweber go, but I would never let my email provider go. That is the linchpin to my business. And so that's what you need, an email list and a phone, and you can run a business. That's all you need nowadays. In life, if you're just starting out, I think figure out every year one goal and just aim for that and reverse engineer it so that you don't go wandering off. So figure out what you would like to achieve that year and then break it down. Okay, let's say you want to achieve 50K that year, you know that by the middle of the year, you've got to hit 25K. You know, by the end of the first quarter, you've got to hit 12.5K. And then that means that you can break it down into monthly and weekly or even daily. So reverse engineer everything, have one goal in mind, and you won't get distracted. Distraction is like one of the worst things in business and in life.
Yeah, those are massive messages. And yeah, breaking it down, reverse engineering is something you've massively helped me with. So I want to share more with you soon. Distractions there. One thing, great tip, hopefully people can take away. As you said, all you need is a phone, but
yeah,
I just turned all my notifications off apart from texts and calls because it was just pinging all day, distracting me. Focus takes you away from well and where you really want to go. But I think those are great tips in general. So those younger generation of boys turning into men and starting businesses can really take that on board. What keeps you awake at night?
Ooh. I think the responsibility of having a business, like it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because if things go wrong, there's nobody to blame other than yourself. So I think whatever's happening in your business worries would keep me awake, really. There's nothing else that plays on my mind. It's just about focus and, things aren't going quite right. Say you lose a customer. Oh my God, I hate that. Like I take it so personally. So yeah, business worries.
Yeah, I'm completely the same. It's that or some ideas come into your head. You're like,
no, if that happens with me, I literally get out of bed, get my laptop out and start work, because there's nobody to say don't do that. So I do love that.
Yeah, I do the same, or just write it down on my notes in the morning, because otherwise those ideas are lost in the enigma. So yeah, I'm completely with you. If I asked your closest friends what your superpower is, what would it be? And why?
Ooh. I did a similar thing like this when I was in Arizona. It was a Reiki adventure that I went on, and that we each had a buddy, and my buddy told me that I was kind. So I think kindness would probably be there, because I give so much free information and I really love to serve people and to help themselves. There's no good just like doing it for them. You've got to like teach them how to do it for themselves. So I think kindness ultimately is at the basis of everything that I do. If I win the lottery tomorrow, I would still do what I do. And that's one of the questions that I get people to ask. It's like, if money is no object and you could just live your ideal day, what would it be? And so it's, kindness, I think.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's refreshing to see as well, because obviously you're doing it from a loving place, and I think you really want people like myself and your clients to succeed. But obviously it's the whole, I've fallen into this as well for whatever personal issues and things going on, or wasting time, whatever it might be. But you can take the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's something that, I don't know, it's in my natural DNA. And even when I was a journalist, you know, I would be the journalist that would close the gate if somebody had said no to me. And then later on in years to come, I read books where it was like, oh, and a really good trick is to close the gate. Because then if you go back, they'll be, remember that you were the one that closed the gate and give you the story. And that did happen for me, but there was nothing, what's the word, manipulative about it. It was just a natural thing. And I think the way that I market and the way that I teach others to market is a very natural, heart-giving way of selling. And then it doesn't feel bad. Not that selling should be bad. It's a good thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And as you said earlier, if you're not selling, then you're not giving people what they need. And even though it's a dirty word or has dirty connotations, if we're not selling one, we don't thrive. And you, the customer or the client or whoever can't thrive as well.
Yeah, you're doing them a disservice.
Yes, exactly. You're doing a disservice by not selling, which is something, especially if we had bad upbringing and a relationship with money, finances and thing. It's a hurdle to overcome. I think I've had to do that myself personally. But I agree. If you don't have that conditioned into you from young, you think it's a dirty game. It's not for you.
Yeah.
Something that rich people or bankers or people like that do.
Exactly.
I'm with you. Cool. So before we wrap up, Yvonne, are there any other resources like websites, videos, books, workshops that you would recommend to entrepreneurs, men who are busy with little time, who, you know, want to optimize their health, business?
I'm a massive podcast fan, of course. And so I think, you know, the podcast app on your phone, Audible, I listen to books on Audible because I can do other stuff while I'm listening to it. I'm all about kind of audio really, because you can multitask while you're doing that, rather than reading. I don't read many business books nowadays. I think reading fiction is a really good thing at night to help you switch off. I love Gary Vaynerchuk. So if you haven't found Gary Vaynerchuk in your world yet, check him out. He's a marketer from New York. He's amazing. I'm just trying to think if there's any other male kind of gurus that I would recommend. He's the best one, really. Oh, Tim Ferriss. Love a bit of Tim Ferriss. Seth Godin. Amazing marketers. So they're all to do with marketing, really. So I think those three would probably be my top three that I would recommend.
Brilliant. Those are great resources. Seth is a great resource, as the others are too. That's really wonderful. So people can go and check those out and really learn a lot from that, especially if you are in business. Please, you know, employ yourself to go and do that. Before we wrap up, Yvonne, is there anything else you want to mention, and or, you know, any projects that you're doing? Please share, you know, websites, social media links, and where this can find you.
You can find my website is bigmeupmedia.com. It's a nice, easy one. I would love it if you would come and find me on Instagram and watch my stories. I give marketing tips on there as well as my life as well. And I'm Big Me Up Media on Instagram. So I'd love it if you come and follow me on there. The Dream Life Academy is open again in September this year. So it only opens once a year. And we're going to be asking people, it's going to be on sale in August. And if you want to join the wait list, because there's only 40 people, so it's limited and you need to be on the wait list really to get any info, then there is a link on my Instagram account and actually on the website as well. So if you look on services and then go to Dream Life Academy, you'll find the VIP wait list, and it's on Instagram as well. So if you're interested in joining the academy, and they can be with you as well, then join the wait list and you'll get all the information.
Brilliant. I will post those links in the show description. So if you guys want to click straight through, you can access that. To wrap up, Yvonne, I just want to say thank you so much for being on here today, your time, your lessons that you shared with our audience and what they can really learn. And yeah, from myself and the Fit Roots podcast and mission, thank you.
Thank you.